So some unexpected results from the NBA today, and we're going to keep in the NBA realm. We're happy to be joined by Vincent Goodwill of the Detroit News. What a first season for you as the beat writer for the Pistons.
Man, it's a lot of things I never would have been able to imagine if I hadn't been there myself to witness it.
What a season. I mean, this team could have been better. Clearly, they could have been better. In your minds, why did the Pistons struggle the way they did? Where did it all start going off the tracks?
You hate to blame everything on coaching, but it's a combination of that and also the uneven talent on this team. 1 through 10, they had a lot of talent, but it was uneven. The chemistry wasn't quite right. And that 0-5 start really hurt things with Houston coming off last year with 27 wins and those veterans already being a skeptical group to begin with as we seen them run off other coaches. Starting off 0-5 did not give Houston a good chance to earn the trust of those veterans and also those young players, and everything just sort of snowballed from there with the personnel issues.
You know, you're with the team throughout the whole season and you see communication issues because, I mean, we even talk about it that, you know, the way John Kuester talks to us sometimes, you can kind of see how he'd struggle communicating with the players. If you could have given him any advice, what could he have done differently to hit the right buttons for these guys?
I think the difference with John Kuester is he's such a nice guy. I don't think he necessarily told those players exactly where they stood at exactly the point where they needed to hear it. A lot of times guys didn't find out that they weren't playing until it was the third quarter, and you know if you're coming in the second quarter or late in the first and you're not coming in the game, then you realize, oh, I'm not playing today or I'm not playing for the next 2 weeks. And guys are creatures of habit. They'd have to know exactly when they're coming in, exactly what type of role they'll be going in. And I think with Kuester doing so much shuffling through the year, just trying to find out the right combination, guys were going in and out of the rotation, not playing and then coming in and playing. I just think it was a bad mix to begin with.
Now it's going to be a season of upheaval. In your estimation, who are we going to see on this roster come October? And I guess coupling that with how much were Joe's hands tied this year with the ownership situation?
I think Joe's hands have been tied not only this year, but for the past year as well. He hasn't made a trade since July of 2009, which was a few months after Mr. Davidson passed away. This was a guy who, when the Pistons made their first 50-win season, he replaced 3 of the 5 starters the next 2 years. So even in times of success, he was always looking for changes and always looking to make different moves. So with coming off of a 27-win season and coming off of the Michael Curry season a couple years ago, you would have expected him to make more aggressive changes to that roster. But with Karen Davidson selling the team and obviously some of the moves that we've talked about in the past with Richard Hamilton possibly being moved for nothing, essentially no salary coming in, just maybe a draft pick or something like that, I think that really showed you exactly how cautious he had to be as far as what type of trade offers he could have entertained.
So as we look to 11-12, are we going to see Ben Wallace? Are we going to see Tayshaun Prince? Are we going to see Rip Hamilton? Are those 3 last remaining guys from the 04 team going to be shown the road?
I think so. I think Tayshaun Prince, 9 years here, he's been through the wars. He's essentially earned himself a way out of Detroit to go to a team that's not rebuilding, to a team that's a contender. Richard Hamilton, his stuff has been, well documented over the past 2 years and everything else. So I think they will find a taker for him. Now, Ben Wallace is the interesting case. In the last home game, he was very reflective, off the record and talking about things that he'd done here and looking at pictures and memories and things like that. He kind of just gave me the vibe that he would be walking away, especially if there's a strike-shortened year where there's only 50 games and you have to play it in a condensed period of time. For a guy his age who has so much wear and tear on his body, I think he would rather walk away than have to go through that type of thing next year.
How about Rodney Stuckey?
I think Rodney Stuckey stays, just off the fact that he'll be a 25-year-old point guard. I think in the next week his birthday is coming up. And who do you have to replace him if you don't get a top 3 pick and get Kyrie Irving out of Duke, who's pretty much a surefire NBA star? What do you have within the organization already that says, okay, he's a good point guard and we can depend on him? He's shown signs of growth over the past maybe 20, 25 games of the season, and you would think that for the Pistons' sake, he would turn the corner or continue improving just at more of a rapid pace.
Cool. Well, I got to commend you. What a season. You're going to look back when you're 45 years old at your first season covering the Pistons and say, oh my gosh, what a circus that was. Vincent Goodwill, thanks very much for joining us here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.